Hi everyone, in this video I'll show you how to use your SSH agent with Git to push your dummy project, FastAPI project to GitHub. The first thing that we need to do, we need to open our Git bash CLI that we have installed from the previous video. And the first thing that we need to do, we need to generate our SSH key. And you can find more details about the flow that I'm going to do in the official GitHub documentation about generating SSH keys. Now, I'm going to write this user email at example.com because this is just a label that it's going to help us identify who is the owner of the key. Now, here I'm going to just add developer. I will use the default name, and I will not add the passphrase because when we want to do some Git actions like check out the branch, pull some code, or even push some code, it's going to ask us all the time for our password. So if let's say you have the password of 12 characters, it's going to get annoying very quickly. Now we have generated our SSH key, and all we need to do now is add our SSH key to our SSH agent. So what I'm going to type right now is SSH-add and the path to our key. Okay, let's check if our agent is up. Okay, so in case there is no connection to the authentication agent, just run this command here. And now I want to traverse to this .ssh directory because I want to show you something. Cindy, and let's LSL to list the directory items to this directory. Now, from this command, we have generated two files. The first one is the private key, and the second one is the public key. Never share your private key. You will 99% of the times will not need to use it. So if let's say you're in a website and it's asking you for your key for the SSH connection, you will always add your public key. The only time you're going to be using this private key is with your SSH agent, which is what we did before with this command. So we did the eval and we added it here. Okay. Now we need to go to our account. Click here on the icon. Go to settings and GPG keys, new SSH, and here we want to add the private key that we generated in our GitHub account. So I'm going to just cut tab, copy this, and paste it here. And I'm going to name it developer. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the SSH key that we generated is associated with our physical machine, or the virtual machine, depends on your setup. But if let's say you need to connect to two GitHub accounts, you'll have to use the same key on both accounts. Do not generate a second SSH key to connect. Now we have added our public key to GitHub, and let's create a repository to save our code. So I'm going to go home, new, and let's name this to do backend. I'm going to leave it as public repository so that everyone can see this. Let's not add, we'll do it manually, both as well. We'll do this both files manually, it's nothing. And let's create a repository. And here we'll get a set of instructions of what we need to run in our VS Code CLI to push our code. Now the first one is to create the empty README file, which we've got the option to do this before. Here we can initialize our repository. Now, as you can see, this git init command does not receive any arguments, so there is no way to associate the to-do backend with the repository from our local environment. We don't know in which repository we want to push, and we're gonna add this git remote add origin. So now our local repository points to our remote repository. Now, we could add all of our files and push them to our remote repository, but we have some issues here. The first one is that the virtual environment, even though it's not traced, we'll have to explicitly flag it that we don't want to push it. Git does not track it right now because, as you can see, the text here is not great. But let's explicitly prevent it from being tracked. So we're going to add a dot git ignore file. And here I would like to add the VNV folder. I want to also exclude the VS Code folder that we created to help us run and debug our code. And also I would like to exclude our PyCache files. Now I deleted mine, but let's really quick show you what these files are. So I have run my code. I'll go back and you'll see this PyCache file created. Now, when we run our Python code, what Python does, it does not directly execute the code within the Py files. What it does, it creates these bytecodes, these files that create the bytecodes that it executes. So every time that you run your code, these files will be created. But again, for the purposes of our repository, we don't necessarily need them to track them. So here I'm going to just add PyCache. And as you can see, I added it in the .gitignore file, and now the file is being ignored. So in total, we have 3 files. The first one is the README. The second one is the gitignore, that it has all the instructions for Git to which files to ignore. And the last one is the main py, which is the point of entry of our application. So now all we need to do, we can just run git add git commit m, which is gonna be our message. So my first commit, and then let's push our code. Now, a mistake that a lot of people are doing, which I used to do it a while back, is the following. If you go back to the repository that we just created, which, okay, it doesn't show the branch, but the default branch is the main branch. But here you can see that here it's master branch. So if I were to push my code, it would create a separate branch and it would cause a bit of a confusion. So all we need to do is just rename our local branch from master to main. So now we have added our code, we have committed it, and let's push our code to GitHub. So I'm going to type git push u origin main. The u flag, it means that on the subsequent times I will use git push, it will automatically push them to the main branch. So you only do it on the first time. Now, because this is the first time that we connect our SSH agent to GitHub, it's going to ask us, hey, do you trust this server? And I'm going to type yes. And it's going to add it to the known hosts. That it means that we have allowed it to use. Now, if we load, our code is here. Now, oftentimes you will not be the ones creating the repository. You will be working. You will be asked to clone the repository to work on it and push your changes. And I'm going to do exactly that right now. So I will just close this and I will go to C projects. And as you can see, we have the to-do backend that we just created. So what I'm going to do, I will just run delete directory. And as you can see, okay, it was here, but okay, but you can see that the directory has been deleted. We don't have any code right now. So if someone were to ask you right now, hey, you need to work on this to-do backend application, you just had to again add your SSH key to your GitHub account. Then you'll go to code, SSH, copy this, and you would run git clone and paste this Now it's cloning our application. We're gonna traverse inside. Cindy to do backend. You can see all the files here, and you can open it with VS Code. So as you can see, we have our source code, the gitignore file, and the README. If we want to run this project again, we need to create a virtual environment and install all the dependencies. Now, usually we have a requirements.txt file that we freeze the packages. Maybe I'll do a separate video for it, but you get the idea. So that's it for today. On the next video, we will get started writing our backend application. Thank you.